Alright, the two last things in the MCU that is coming out in 2023 released Loki Season 2 and The Marvels, which is a sequel to Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel and Secret Invasion and WandaVision. It's a sequel to a lot of things. But anyways, today I'm going to give you my reviews for both of them. Season 2 of Loki and The Marvels. Before I get done with that, please make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what is your opinions on these two projects. I want to know all that and more. And with that said, let's get started. We're talking about Loki Season 2 first, which probably isn't fitting because I like this one a lot better than I like The Marvels. Is that to say that I didn't like The Marvels? No, I like The Marvels. I thought it was fine. I like this one better, and it's obvious. Loki once again proved why Loki is obviously the best thing to come out the MCU post-Endgame besides No Way Home. I think No Way Home is the only good, one of the only great things that and Loki that have come out post-MCU. And this season really proved how. It's not like a Marvel show. It really doesn't feel like it. It's definitely more creative. It feels like it takes a more creative output to it. To where, like, certain episodes were more stylistic shot-wise. The story was more sweeping and stylistic. The music was more ominous and scary. It feels like this is not a Marvel show, but in kind of like an A24 show. Like, it feels like this is just meant to kind of go for some awards here for the show as a character study. The Loki Season 1 was all about Loki and stopping Sylvie. Then he fell in love with her and discovered all this time stuff and discovered Kang and all that. This season is about Kang, and you gotta stop the threat, because after what you did in the last one, you're destroying all the branches. But it's not played out as big action sequences, you need to do this constantly. It's played out more of a character study, to where you're studying Loki's character, to where in the final episode, when you get his reveal, and when you get what he's gonna do and how that's gonna happen, it's really emotional, and it really provides well here. OB is a great character. He's a new great addition. Ke Kwan is amazing. He's obviously probably one of the best actors out there today. Obviously, you got Owen Wilson as Mobius, one of the best characters. Obviously, he's in here is great. This whole cast is great. And then there is no action in this, except one episode, which I think the action in the episode was very fitting. It didn't feel forced. It felt pretty great. And it wasn't even like more of an action sequences. Like I said, it was kind of stylistic and proved as style. It's more style over big explosive action sequences. It's more focusing on showing a better story than making it more entertaining. I mean, I wasn't entertained by it. No, of course I was entertained by it. I thought this was a very entertaining show, because after what the MCU's put fans through for the last years, I'm kind of over it. And so it was really kind of nice to see a show where we focus on the character of Loki and see like him go on all these things and focus on the grand scheme of things, kind of setting up stuff along the way, but being discreet about it. Every other MCU stuff is like, it always just sets up stuff. This show is being discreet about it. It's like, yeah, we fixed the problem, but the Kangs are out there. We know that's going to happen. But if more focuses on telling its own story in its own time, these 6 episodes for this, that's the perfect length. I think Loki, the early MCU shows are pretty good. WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, obviously, Hawkeye, that's a good one. But sometimes you obviously feel like the 6 episodes is a bit too, like, it's a bit less. This one needed the 6 episodes. If it goes an episode longer, it'd be boring and filler. Like, these episodes, they knew what they were doing. They didn't want to plan out a huge score. It's a huge story, but they knew exactly what they were doing with their time, and it just made it work. It made it work. And it's also one of the only MCU projects without reshoots. I think it is the only MCU project without reshoots. So, like, they had a script, they stuck to it, and they kind of just, like, did something that Marvel hasn't been doing in the last couple of years, making a consistent story and a consistent show, and it's kind of consistently good. It's not as good as the first season, in my opinion. The first season is better, but this is such a great character study with big emotions. The emotions are huge in that final episode. Like, one of my friends texted me, she's like, I'm sobbing. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? And she's like, Loki. And I was like, don't you dare tell me. And then, like, this was Thursday, obviously, and that's when that atrocious Bears and Panthers game was on. So, yeah, I had to suffer through that, and then I had to watch the Loki finale. So, yeah, it's really emotional. It really can be emotional. Tells a bigger story while keeping it contained. Has great characters. Has an artistic style. The one action sequence we got was awesome. It's pretty scary. Like, the scariness. And you could feel like Kang's a bigger threat rising up. And I really hope... Seems like they're going to move away from Kang. Seems like they're going to go to Doctor Doom. Which kind of sucks, because I think this Kang plot is pretty great. But the Kang plot right here, it's pretty scary. Jonathan Majors was obviously in this, and he did phenomenal. Overall, I think Loki Season 2 was pretty great. It's not the best MCU show, but as an MCU show, it's like, wow. It's actually like, wow, that this exists. More of an artistic style, making it comprehensible and entertaining at the same time. It was kind of entertaining because of these characters, but emotional, and it's a complex character study about Loki. They knew what they were doing, they get in there, they get it done, and it's one of the more consistent things that we've got post-Endgame. That, for me, is why Loki Season 2 is going to get an A-. I know what you're saying. I didn't speak of any negatives. So why don't I give it an A+? Well, obviously, I didn't like it as much as the other, like, some of the other MCU seasons that's, like, prime MCU, I think. I like this one. It wasn't my favorite, but I really liked it. And compared to everything that the MCU has made in so long, this is one of the top things. This is easily one of the top things. It's my favorite thing of Phase 5 right now. Speaking of Phase 5, we got the Marvels to talk about. Alright, the Marvels, like I said, it's a sequel to Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, WandaVision, Secret Invasion, and something else that I can't remember. It's based off quite a lot of stuff, honestly. Me, MCU superfan, film critic here. Obviously, I watched them. I watched all of it. General audience might not have, but I definitely did. And a lot of it I wasn't a big fan of. I liked WandaVision. I loved Secret Invasion. I hated Miss Marvel. Captain Marvel, one of my top 10 MCU movies. There's something else that I just cannot put my hands on. It's kind of making me just a little bit angry. Anyways, yeah, so The Marvels is the new movie, and people on the internet definitely, like, they're a love-hate relationship. Either you got people like GFG, or GFR, my bad, Giant Freaking Robot, who's absolutely a freaking idiot, no offense to him, but on the internet saying, oh, it's only men going to watch this one, so it actually has to suck. Like, bro, nobody really pays attention in the theater to what the audience is. Like, there's people like that over the internet, or there's people that are just saying that they love the movie, being discreet about it, not being, like, complete jerks. But people who hate this movie are being jerks, and unfortunately, I have to say, I am not one of them. Thank goodness I'm not one of them. I actually get in arguments with people online about this movie. People think I'm a super Marvels fan. I'm not. I thought the movie was fine. I definitely did have issues with it. This is me after seeing it twice now. I've seen the movie twice, and it's still a pretty solid movie. I think it's solid for the MCU, but it's definitely not the best. Starting with the positives, obviously this cast here is great. Monica Rambeau is pretty great. Brie Larson, she is not my favorite MCU character by a large margin, but she's okay. But dang you, we have to talk about Iman Vivani as Miss Marvel. She is the only good thing that came out of that atrocious show, was her casting. She is so heartwarming in real life with her reactions with the MCU. She's an MCU superfan, so obviously she wants to be here. And everything she's done here, she's pretty funny. She's she's pretty great in the movie. She's a big standout, and I cannot wait for that Young Avengers film if she gets to be the lead, because she is such a great character. I just wish that everything she was in wasn't either fine or miserable, because she is just such a great actress and such a great character, and I'm so happy they put her in the MCU. The movie could be funny. Second time watching it. First time watching it, I was with a girl, so obviously, like, I didn't necessarily think it was all that funny. I was laughing, obviously, but it wasn't, like, the most hilarious thing to me. But the second time I watched it, there were a couple jokes that I did think were really fun. So there were a couple jokes that landed. A couple jokes that were pretty good. Nick Fury is here, and obviously we got to talk about him's transition from Secret Invasion. I like this crack joke in Fury, but I prefer much more in Secret Invasion. But for this movie, it was fine. And some of the jokes he said were my favorite jokes in the movie. The action sequences were pretty good. We got to talk about the effects here. People are all on the internet saying that the Marvels has horrible effects. It does not. It really does not. I do not see horrible effects that were in the Marvels. There's one time that the effects were iffy, and that's at the very beginning of the movie. The rest of the movie, the effects were pretty good, and the action was pretty good when they're switching characters, switching sides and whatever, having the action sequences. I think they're pretty freaking awesome and pretty cool to watch. And like the fight scenes and the dynamic is just entertaining to me. The villain here is not the most forgettable thing. I kind of like the villain. I see a lot of people saying that she's forgettable. I liked her motive, attacking Captain Marvel, stealing things that she loves to make Hala better. It's more of an interesting villain for a third Captain Marvel film, which obviously this feels like a third Captain Marvel film. But I liked the villain enough. I think she was solid, and she didn't really make me angry. She's fine. That's the best thing I can say about this movie, is it does not make me angry when I talk about it. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania makes me want to punch a hole in my wall when I talk about that movie. That's how atrocious it is. This movie is more like, yeah, it's a fine movie. It's got 3 good leads. Could be pretty funny at times. The action's pretty good. The villain is solid. It's more of a, it's kind of like 100 minutes, not 90 minutes, but it's more of a 100-minute movie to where you could sit down and kind of just like watch it in a, like, just in a day and be entertained by it. It's rewatchable, definitely on rewatch. I was kind of entertained by it. I can compare this to Barbie, because it's not the best movie, but it's rewatchable like Barbie is, except Barbie's like not good. This movie is, it's good. It's fine. It's a good enough movie. We gotta talk about the post-credit scene. Obviously, I didn't get it. The ending is one thing I gotta talk about here, but I, like, when she goes into, like, the vortex and wakes up and her mom's there, I was like, what's happening? But then Beast shows up. The Beast shows up, and obviously there's spoilers, because I just spoiled the movie. But the Beast shows up. How awesome is that? That the Beast from X-Men shows up. That, it had me grinning from ear to ear. Unfortunately, some idiot on Twitter spoiled it for me. But still, when it happened, I forgot about it, and it grinned me from ear to ear. I thought it was absolutely hilarious and awesome that we're finally getting him in the movie. The Young Avengers stuff, pretty good. I think a Young Avengers movie would suit the MCU well. The girl I was with, when they knew it was Kate Bishop, started freaking out. I was like, okay, chill, dang. And like that, like the theater started freaking out at that point. My theater overall kind of enjoyed the movie. I think there were not 2 laughs. It's not like definitely the best movie in the MCU that people love, but I think my theater enjoyed it enough. And so, yeah, there is some negatives. The first one is the ending here. I wasn't that big of a fan of. The villain technically betrays sides when Captain Marvel's like, you know what? I'm gonna fix your son, and it's like, that's fine. But then the villain betrays sides, gets blown up into the hole in the vortex. Monica goes back. They use girl power to fix it, and I was like, that's kind of just a stupid ending. I don't really think that worked. It's more set up to set up other things, but killing off Monica, really I don't think worked for this movie. I really don't think that was the best decision to do. And the ending just kind of seemed rushed with the action sequence. It's all like, they fly in there all of a sudden, getting ready for the big action sequence. They fight the one villain. They don't stop anybody else. And then they blow up the hole and stop the hole. And it's just kind of anticlimactic. at this ending. I was like, I'm not that big of a fan of this. And the Captain Marvel is not good. Captain Marvel is not one of my favorite MCU characters. And in here, she's definitely my least favorite character. She's all like, I'm sorry, Monica. I couldn't come visit you because I was sad because I destroyed a whole planet. And, like, that's not a reason. She's all like, she's kind of whiny in the first half, and then all of a sudden she goes from being rude to people. Then she goes from destroying a whole Skrull planet, pretty much. And it's just like, wow, okay. That happened. And she's just kind of like, she's really not that good. Brie Larson plays her fine, but the script she's given is not that good to be a likable character. And she's definitely, for me, not a likable character in this movie. Yeah, I had a couple negatives with it. Obviously, the ending, Captain Marvel's not the most likable character, but it was still a fine addition into the MCU, and that's why for the Marvels, having seen it twice and having fun with it, it's gonna get a B-. A B- is a suitable thing for this. It's not as, like, it's not the best thing that's come out of Marvel post-Endgame, but it's not, and that's not Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, so, I mean, I'm not really complaining. Alright, I'm going to have an MCU ranking up in the next couple of weeks. It's Thanksgiving break. I'm still going to try to upload, but I'm definitely not going to get that MCU ranking out next week. I'm going to have that. Saw videos, the Saw ranking is probably going to be my next video, besides the review series. But I got a bunch of videos coming up. Thanks for clicking on this one. And with that said, as always, subscribe, join the Nerd Army, and comment down below what is your opinion on the Marvels. That's going to be an interesting conversation. Subscribe, join the Nerd Army. Peace out.